got the brothers back. You know, you guys like that new nickname we got for you, the Super Dosty Bros?
It's the best.
Dude, I think it's sticking.
Wait till Halloween. Mario Luigi.
Oh. Yeah, we got to do some content where me and him go on the doors with the...
Ooh, yeah.
That's what I was about to say. A Spirit Halloween just opened up. I think we're in for a treat. You know, unfortunately, you need a fake mustache. Sorry about that. That's, you know, pray about it. See if God will bless you.
Peach fuzz or whatever you want to call that.
All right, bro.
That lip is, dude, you got to get a razor, bro. I gotta buy
Your mustache looks like a PS2 graphics.
That's crazy, bro.
Face, dude.
Oh, no.
It looked like when a whiteboard marker was been on there for a year and it won't erase. You got little streaks left.
That's crazy, dude.
I'm going too deep. I'm sorry.
Just flaming the dude.
Maybe miraculously he'll get facial hair. But, you know, the Super Dosty Bros coming to town. I think that'll be a great video. Yep. So you're obviously Luigi. You'll be Mario. So... yeah,
I think as of right now, it's Mario, and he's Luigi.
Ooh. It's an age thing, though. It's an age thing.
True, fair enough.
It's like Smash Bros, bro. In Smash Bros, honestly, Luigi's a dominant character over Mario, but it's just how it's played. That's what you're trying to say, right? You're a better salesman than Gideon?
Maybe, we'll see.
Well, speaking of it, I mean, we can run the numbers back. So I had to report back our numbers. And I have you since July the 1st at 17 deals, bro. 17.
Since July 1st?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's good.
That's a lot. I mean, what is that for weeks to where we're at now? We're in the first week of September. What's the calculator say? What's 17 divided by 8? What is that? 2 deals a week? 2 point something?
Yep.
2 deals a week is literally what makes you rich. And guess what? You're literally at the very top of the entire office. An office of like 200 people. You're number one from a 2 deal a week average. And most people think, wow, 2 deals a week is just something you can't attain. But, I mean, look at you now, bro. I mean, deals flooding in.
Yeah. It's great. Got to thank you as well. You're the one that closes them. So it's all good.
Well, you already know. I can be there as a close, but really I think that all power to a setter because dude, a closer can show up, but if the setter did his job 100%, I almost don't even have to work. I just have to do what I do best, and I think a valuable set goes a lot longer way than a good closer because you can have a lot of trash closers, but if the setter just left an amazing impression and the homeowner wanted it so bad, I mean, dude, what I say is solar sells itself. So it's really you selling yourself for that first interaction that's getting all these deals.
Yeah, for sure.
And so now you have some recruits. So from what you've learned, what do you feel like, you know, we'll talk about Keenan. What do you feel like you're looking to pass on the most to him so that he can get where you're at right now?
Oh, just basically my story. You know what I mean? I mean, obviously when you first start out, you might be, learning the pitch, everything like that. You might struggle to get, interactions you want, thinking when you first start hitting the doors, it's like, oh, it's going to be a walk in the park. But I literally just Keenan and the other new guys that just came in, just kind of like my story of how first 3 to 4 weeks, I was just falling on my face, just getting discouraged every day, really barely any sets. I mean, when I did get a set, it was like a failed credit. It might have been a ghost. But then just to keep going and just, staying consistent to them, just telling them this is, like time will tell. I mean, you just got to keep staying consistent every day. And ultimately, that's kind of what led up to like where I am now in a way, where I'm just like trying to be like the best version of myself. So just basically telling just Keenan in general, the new recruits, you just got to unlock, the best version. What does that look like to you, So
yeah, and it's okay to be mad because I can remember you. Gideon, tell me if you remember this vividly, but I do. I remember it was the week of your first deal, and we were like entering week 5 with no deals for you, and me and Gideon were going to one of your sets and it ghosted. And I mean, you had just expressed you had a lot of hope in this set. And I remember it was right before like lunch break or something. And we had just gotten a close together. I think it was Dan Sharp or something, or Alidio, one of those. And then when we came back to the house, so we were so happy about the close we just got, but then like, we felt bad. Oh man, another set ghost. Luke's going to be upset. And as we drive up the driveway, we see your car around the corner And then I remember you in the Prius. As soon as you saw us in the driveway, you knew it ghosted, and you just, there's Luke, and you sped off down the street. You didn't come home for break.
That's right. Yeah. Well, that was. Are you talking about like it was after like my very first close? Or are you saying like before?
That was
like
right before.
Way back. Oh yeah.
That was right before your first close, and I remember you were.
Oh, I was so mad. Yeah, really, because I was. I mean, I had a lot of hope. They were, I was supposed to be on that, that Saturday I teed it up. It was like probably like my fourth or fifth set, you know what I mean? Or maybe even my third, to be honest. And I was like really hoped up for that. She was interested. I just didn't talk to her husband, who was literally not even around. She'd even mention him. And then, then just didn't work out. And to this day, I wasn't able to go back and reset them. So.
Yeah, but there's a great difference now, because back then when you had no deals, a ghost angered you and you sped down the street and thought, like this is just detrimental. But now, I mean, when you throw, sets to me, you're just like, hey, if it sits, it sits. I can't worry about it. I need to go get more.
Yeah.
And now you do not have a reaction like that. So
yeah, 'cause it's just expected. I kind of set my expectations very low for every single set. Like I have about like 8 to 9 this week. I mean, I'm really hoping I just get, hopefully at least one. At the same time, they all could fail credit. They all could ghost. I mean, you never know what's going to happen. 10 sets, literally every single one of them cannot even go through. So
I think that's something that new guys need to know, is that a lot of people get crushed because their expectations are so high and they're not realistic.
Yeah.
Now that your expectations are realistic, I mean, what do you put your hope in? Just your work ethic?
Yeah, my work ethic, and just like always knowing, like every time I go out, I cannot just be average at the job. I literally just promise myself every day I will not go home without at least having one set to my name. If I did bagel, it's like just knowing that I just gave him my all, and there was I did the best I could. As long as I just could do that every single day, just rest of my door, door to door, going forward, I will have success, And the only thing I could do, is just keep getting as many sets as possible, because when you do that, you'll have a good chance of it closing. And, so, yeah.
Wow. It's a great story, man. And it's made you a leader. It has. Dude, all of us here watching you, I mean, these guys combined put up, I believe 11 closes, 11 or 12, and you put up 17. I mean, you alone have beaten your two competitors combined. And that's just something to be said, because what they're doing, they obviously have really great sets. They're making really great money, but it takes something to get to the next level where you are just standing alone as the number one guy. And it helps everybody, because now when you and your brother are going to be working together more, with you getting promoted as a setter cap, it's going to benefit your brother, and it's going to benefit all the recruits that we bring in here as a team. I think it benefits Liam. I think it benefits even me, because everyone coming in here knows that there's a new standard of what the best is. And I just want to what do you guys think for these new guys? How do we get them through? Because right now we're in the trenches. All these dudes are they're struggling to get those 1 or 2 sets. And they think that's hard. They're going to struggle when, those 1 or 2 sets won't even close.
Yeah.
What are we going to do to get them past this?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things with Luke is, me and you talked about it a lot. We foresaw and we had this absolute conviction and belief that Luke was going to do well. I could envision it in my mind, that this would already happen. So, in a way, this was already manifested. And, the numbers have played out. You put in the hard work, and, obviously huge glory to God and all of this. But, it's the same thing with all these other guys who are coming in. They have to have that. They have to envision the person that they want to strive to become, and that's going to propel them forward. It's that always, I feel like everyone has it. It's that visual that you have of the best version of yourself, and that you're always kind of chasing it. You know what I mean? Because you're not, you make progressions to it, but you're never really there fully. So it's if they could find that and chase that Zach, chase that Luke, chase that the disciplined version of yourself, then just like Luke did, then I think that
that's a good point.
It'll just click.
That's a perfect distinction, because if you're putting your expectations in the results and the money, it's never going to show up. But if you put your expectations in what you could become as a warrior, That's the only way to get gratification. Because if you go out and fall on your face, but you say, I'm going to be the guy that falls on his face all the way to the finish line, that's something to look forward to being.
Yeah.
And the richness will come with it, the wealth. And, oh, man, I'm just getting hyped. I'm just getting excited for this team, man.
I think it's also these guys are going to have to learn how to get past that initial mental block of the early part of the job of, failing and getting back up and failing, getting back up, but also of just seeing, I remember at the start, it's like one set was like a big deal. And then now you look and it's like, okay, if you're not getting 2, 3, 4, it's like, what are you doing? Like if you show up at home with less than 3, what were you doing all day, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
When that started out, it's like that one is huge.
Yep. And now it's the same way for when you go up, because then it's like one close was a big deal. Then you find out that one close canceled at the end of the week, Yeah. So now it's not really, that's not what you want. That's how you refine your closing, you get the install, but it's the installs that are the big deal. And now I'm learning that with the recruits, the same thing. We've had a bunch of guys come in. It's always, I don't know what it is. It's always the loudest talkers. The guy who say they're going to do the best result-wise, they fizzle out quicker than anybody. There's something to be said about that.
Absolutely.
And I'm finding like guys that are coming in more worried about doing, like Luke Johnson, like even you, for example, or even our newest guy over here off screen, Daniel. The guys who are like, man, I want to make sure I'm ready to do the best. I don't want to overpromise and disappoint myself, because that's the wisest. You're being humble about it. Those are the guys that usually get a lot farther, because they're not in it for the self-glory. I think they're in it more for self-worth. And it's a make or break mentality, because if you have the wrong mentality, you cannot go far.
You remember when I came into the job and on that car ride down to the office.
I remember. Yeah, I remember. Because that just comes down to your why. Maybe, the why that we put it in. Just make sure it's a why that's going to be around to see the end result. Not a why that's
temporary.
Yeah, exactly. Like again, if your why is money, temporary. Inflation. Hello.
Yeah, it's not long lasting. Like you might have an initial like little boost, but longevity wise in the job, it's the discipline, it's the consistency that's really what separates like good from great.
Yeah, and right now I'm working on redefining my why and, kind of just finding what that why is now. And
do you have any ideas? What are you feeling in your heart?
Like the logical side of my brain, or like I guess just when I think about it, it's like, okay, just being a man of my word, being, or make my parents proud, just going out and, showing up and doing the best I absolutely can and being the stud that I know I can be. Those are all, big whys, but.
And they're lasting, because a man is only as good as his word. And so if you put your why in saying you'll do something and fulfilling it, that is something that will carry on into your legacy.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think that's deep, man. That's a good why.
Yeah, so that's like the core of it. But I'm trying to find something maybe almost more tangible.
Like something visual?
Yeah.
Here's one I would recommend is if it's not somebody outside of the job, find somebody in the job. Like for me, obviously my outside the job why is my wife Lacey and a potential family, but my within the job why is like all of you guys. If you guys aren't doing well, like it will all be pointed back to me. If this team were to fall apart, it's going to all come back on what did the leader do wrong to fail. And then I would be an undisciplined leader if I started pointing to all the other people that caused it instead of myself. And so if you want your why to be fulfilled, if you want your purpose to be fulfilled, you need to take responsibility. If you're not meeting your goals, you can't blame other people. You can't blame, my why didn't become worth it anymore. Or, that's what a lot of guys were saying this week is that they had this why. They had a reason they were going out. It was their family. It was their background, this, that, the other. And then they're calling me and telling me, hey, it was my family who told me that I shouldn't do this anymore. Or it's these godly men in my life that said that this isn't worth it. I'm like, aren't those the reason you were doing this? How can your why turn on you? And it's a faulty why, and again, that's not a why that's tangible. That's really just someone, I don't want to make I don't want to sound accusational in any way, but I'm just saying that they weren't in it for the right reasons. They were either in it for what people would think of them for doing well in the job or what the money would do for them in the job. But if they didn't even respect themselves as a hard worker in this job, you weren't even going to get on the door for day one. And they didn't make it past like day one. Yeah, week one.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's just going to happen like that.
Yeah, it's just kind of crazy. Like, you know, once people face adversity, it's like it shows their true colors, you know, because it's super easy. You know, no one praises a fish for swimming. You know what I mean? Mm. It's when everything's going good, everything's going your way. It's like it's easy to be happy and you know, praise everything that's going right in your life. But what about when things aren't going your way? So I think that's a true test. And a lot of people fail, but it's the ones that we want to keep, the talent we want to attract, are the people that will stay, that will stick through that. So
I hope this isn't too broad, but I want everybody to kind of give an input. But like when it is a hard time, you know, and the why doesn't seem as visible as when you're doing well, what is it about? Either it could be your why, or it could be, you know, like thinking back to why you first got here, or maybe the hope, you know, that the grass will be green where you water it. There's a light at the end of the tunnel kind of idea. What is it that gets you guys through a hard time? Because I know we've all had our own slump. Your slump was in the beginning. You came in, blasted off, had a small slump in July, like a two, I think 3 week slump, then right back on the horse. And then, you know, I think you've kind of been back and forth.
Of one, yeah.
It's okay. It's okay though. You know, it's happens to all of us. But how do we get through it? When you've gotten through one, I've gone through one, you've gone through one, but I want to hear, how do you guys get through it?
Well, we're all surrounded by each other. You know, we're all accountable, and you know, when you have guys who are doing the same thing, and you realize that other people are doing the same thing that you're doing, it's like, you know, if he could do it, I can do it. You know what I mean? So it's like it will play out. You know what I mean? And it's actually impossible numbers wise to go a certain period without getting any deals. It's
true.
You know what I mean?
It's so, just, are you willing to stick around to see it?
Exactly.
That's huge.
And I love those. Like I look back and I like the slumps that I have, because it almost like puts me on my toes again. Because it's like I feel like it's almost like it's telling me that I need to be, you know, not only working harder, but I also need to be getting better. You know what I mean? I feel like there's some sort of, and it was like, you know, sure enough, you know, you shadowed me on the doors. You were holding me accountable as a brother, and you were saying, look, bro, your intro wasn't good. And I made a quick change, and, you know, and then I started getting deals again. You know what I mean?
And I think your intro is one of the best in the game. Like, you always had it in you. It just takes the accountability. I think accountability is the perfect answer. That's what the Iron Mail is. It's having guys around you where if one guy's in a slump, you got 3 other guys that aren't. And then we're all going to take turns going through hard times, but we need each other to sharpen.
Yeah.
Perfect answer, Gideon. I love that.
Yeah. And for me, I guess I'll tie it back into the why question of, you know, when I first started the job, my why was a little bit different. It was a lot more, I mean, the principle remained the same, but the tangible outcome I was looking at was different when I started the job to what it is now. And the circumstances of my life have changed. But now when I look back and when, you know, during the hard times, I think about the why of, you know, like I was mentioning, you know, the name, parents, family, brothers, you know, just all that. But also I think about 2 specific things. One is that I know God put me here for a reason. And,
Amen.
You know, specifically, you know, you could say, you know, on earth, you know, in this area, whatever, but specifically in this job, in this position for a reason. And then secondly,
hey, can you tell us what makes that evident for you?
It was just, well, for me, it was multiple things. It was the circumstances and how I watched God move and how the events in my life played out to where how everything lined up perfectly to get me here, and how, you know, I was pursuing one thing and one opportunity, I had one thing going on in my life and this and that and everything going on, yet somehow everything tied together perfectly to this. And then also just seeing God bless and seeing God, you know, come through in the, you know, in the dark times, and, you know, when it's like, okay, what am I doing here? You know, maybe I should quit. And then immediately, boom, 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 deal after deal. And just that, you know, reassurance that, you know, I know I am where I'm supposed to be. If it's only for a time or however long, I don't know. But I know I'm where I need to be. and I know I'm doing what I need to do, at least in the grand scheme of things. Minuscule day to day. I could always do better.
100%, bro. I actually relate to you a lot on the circumstance aspect because for this job, for me, it was almost entirely out of my control getting it. I didn't have to look or search, and that's almost how you know God's involved, because you can't give credit to yourself for getting this job. I can't. I didn't go look for the job. I didn't even show a resume. The CEO was next in line, and I can't get credit for myself for choosing the haircut. His schedule was booked. It was the last opening he had, and I'm there for it. That's God, man.
I mean, I didn't do a resume or anything either. It was just really God just dropped it into my lap, and somehow just here we are. Just you and me.
Yeah.
Put us in the same path.
And the best part to know is that it's not for everybody.
Yeah,
so not only is this path given to us by God, but it's given to us because God knew we could handle it. There's a lot of guys, and like I said, when they tell me that, they don't know if it's God's will, I have to believe them, because I can't have them come here and expect to take on something that only 1% of guys our age can handle. So count it a privilege to even be here. Count it a privilege that God has given us the responsibility to hold ourselves accountable, both in the workplace, in our friendships, and how we conduct ourselves. It's a huge blessing, bro. Yeah. How about you guys? What's your guys' God story?
Well, also,
oh, my bad, dude.
Yeah, no, you're good. That was the first part. Is I know God put me here for a reason, and has lined everything up with the job and with circumstances in my life, and left certain circumstances and people in my life just long enough to get me here, and then immediately just stripped it all away, right? And then secondly is, I've gone all in. And so even though this last month has been, well, for lack of better words, rough.
Even though you're getting paid like what, 3-4K this week?
Okay, yeah.
This dude's over here got a $4,000 check, man. It is rough right now, fellas.
Okay, but that's from previous work.
It just shows our standard.
Exactly.
What I mean?
Yeah. But I've
just wanted you to count your blessing before we start crying at the table today.
I know, and then last week's check and the week before that, and but where I'm at now, where it's almost like a fresh start, and really in a lot of ways it is a fresh start for me. Where it's just been a pretty rough rough month, all that hard work previously paying off now, but in terms of actual day-to-day job, it's been a rough month.
And you've been preaching delayed gratification, though.
I have.
You're experiencing it this week.
Yeah, and
you've had a lot of tough times.
Yep.
Yeah, look, it happened. This is what you've been putting in the hard effort for.
It's funny because whenever I say something, it always one of two things: either it's so outlandish that it's never going to happen, or two, that God just decides to prove me right, or to oh really, you said that? Okay, well let's see how you really.
It's easier said than done. Yeah. Saying delayed gratification is the best gratification. It's way easier than done, because it literally means that it's going to hurt all the way to it. It's going to hurt really, really bad.
And maybe it's proof that I'm finding fulfillment or finding satisfaction in the input rather than the output. Because the output is like you said, $3,000-$4,000 checks every week, right? But I'm not even thinking about that. I'm thinking about, wow, this last month on the doors, I've had what? This amount of deals, or this amount of sets, or this amount of success. So I don't know, maybe that's just proof that I have my eyes on the right thing. I just thought of that right now.
Well, go back to Gideon. Yeah. Gideon said it, that we got to raise him to the higher standard. What's that standard?
Yeah, standard. That's accountability. It goes back to the accountability thing, where, if we're all high tides raise all ships, where if everyone is slinging deals, then automatically you're going to get bumped up and you're going to start hitting what you need to. And, when there's always someone to chase, I have a, $6K check coming in as a setter cap, but also, Thomas above me has a check coming in that's higher. So it's there's always something to climb and chase, and it always gives you something to push for. That, again, goes with the accountability thing. So, it's it's good that we're.
I want to hear what for you guys. How do you feel God has intervened to bring you guys here, especially when you're going through a hard time? I love that conversation we had with Brian, that it really is faith in God that He will give us the delayed reward. When have you guys had that experience? If you can't think of it off the top of the head, it's fine. But do you guys have anything you can think back to where God kind of?
I mean, there's a couple for sure. I mean, just starting out with this job and, you know, going through a month and not getting, you know, the success I wanted and not getting any closes, and then like it's funny how it works. It's like right when you're about to throw in the towel is when boom, you know, you get the success. It's like it's almost like God is like saying like, look, if you stick it out and if you put in that extra time and you trust that it's going to work out, then it eventually happens, you know. And it's kind of one of those cases where, I mean, that's one story. Another time is just, you know, even like recently with Hawaii, you know what I mean? When I had to go through a personal journey where, you know, the pride got the better of me and I had to be humbled, and, you know, came back and, yeah, I mean, I learned a lot from that, and it was something that, again, delayed gratification. Like I was chasing something else, and God showed me that, you know, it was He had a different plan for me. So
Yeah, and I also think He opened your eyes to where you still don't believe that, you know, the earth is flat and stuff like that, right?
yeah,
Good call out. I do think it is good, though, because that experience paved the road to you being here. I don't know if you would actually be here with us right now if you didn't venture over to Hawaii.
Everything happens for a reason, man. So,
and I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot, man. I mean, there's more where that came from, but yeah.
They say that you know, when you're following God or you're following a path in life that, you know, God has called you to, you know, however directly involved that might be, you know, you're like a horse, you know, or like being led by like a lead or like by a rope, right? You know, while, you know, what's the word I'm thinking of? Like the ranch hand or like the whoever's like shepherd. Not exactly shepherd, but whoever's like holding the rope and like guiding, right? They're up ahead, right? And, you know, you as the horse or whoever's being led along with the rope, you're behind, and there's slack in the rope to where you can go left and right and left and right, but you're still going forward. So while, you know, you for a few months there, you know, when you're originally supposed to come out, you went off to the left, but then, you know, through God's, you know, providence, you know, brought you back, and now on the straight, you know, back on the straight path. You know, or maybe that was, well, I guess technically it was the right path, but you get what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, everything happens by design, and, you know, what is that saying? Like, you know, man makes a plan and God laughs, you know? And it's true, man. I mean, there's just so many instances where it's like, you know, you think you have one thing set in your mind, and it, you know, things happen, and it wasn't necessarily what was meant for you, you know? And this is one of those cases where, you know, definitely wasn't, you know, even though it was cool being at the beach, you know, every Sunday, that wasn't what God had in store. So
He had pickleball in store.
Yes, sir. And the desert.
Man wanted the beach, but God gave pickleball. You know?
Man, this desert is high as well. I hope not to get too off topic, but I remember that we're 2,500 feet elevated here, and that's why we get dehydrated so easily. And when we're playing pickleball, man, I get winded. And I was like, why? And then someone reminded me that it was like, we're really high elevated up in a desert.
I find it funny whenever you guys talk about high elevation.
Why? When you live in a little mountain?
Yeah, I live in the mountains.
What's your elevation? I'm going to Google fact check you, so you better be accurate.
Okay, so without doxing myself, you know.
What's your address? No, I'm playing.
Gotcha. I'm I'm a couple hundred feet higher than like the city that like I'm right next to, but I think I'm at like 5,600 or
Wow.
50,
Nice. And it's
something
hot
like
in
that.
Arizona, ain't it?
Okay, don't get me started on this. When you think of Arizona, you think of Phoenix, you think of Scottsdale, you think of cooking eggs on the sidewalk. But where it is here, it's hotter than where I live. Like when I first got here, the first week it was like 110 degrees, and I was in for a shock because I'd never seen anything above 100.
Wow.
I mean, you also wear pants too. So.
Okay, I'm talking 2 years ago.
He wears
Even
leggings
now.
by the end of the
Yeah,
day.
Oh man.
But yeah, even like all summer with 110 degree heat,
No, no,
114
it's
some
been
days.
pretty brutal.
Hey, I actually like the shorts you're wearing right now.
Yeah.
Kudos to you, bro. You should pop out on the
Yeah.
doors with those things right
Hey,
there.
you just won some new kicks. You
Yeah.
gonna rock the Jays?
Yeah.
No.
What?
He has to.
man.
He has to.
Dude,
Got
that
to,
was-
bro.
We don't need to get into my shoe. I got hot takes on shoes. But
Dude.
no.
Dude, the shoes you wear look like the spray-on shoes from that Flint guy in Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, bro.
Oh, that's crazy.
Like you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, that's crazy.
Okay. Hey,
Sorry
you know
to-
what? They're
I'm
comfortable.
gonna get you some J's, bro.
They're comfortable. I could walk all day in them. and
That's what
and
he
they don't
pitched
mess
with
up
the
my
spray.
feet.
That's what he was pitching, those spray-on shoes as well, bro. I don't doubt it, man.
Hey, yeah, that's all right. That's all right.
Take
Oh,
those
dude.
off, bro. They're not stuck to your feet, right? I mean, you can.
I don't got them on right now. So
Okay.
Man.
Oh, that was
that's
hilarious.
wild.
Yeah, well, anyway, man, we got to wrap it up. My boy Gideon's got a slap to get to for the squad.
I do.
Yes.
But yeah, man, I love this podcast. Looking forward to a big week. We got 12 guys. We started this with the core 4. Now we got 12 recruits, and we're giving away a BMW at the
Let's
end
go.
of this month.
Ooh.
That is a setter slugfest worth fighting for, baby.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
yeah.
let's see those numbers. And yeah, I'm just pray God bless all these setters. I pray that all of them stick it through and that we rise up as leaders. This team's rising to the occasion.
Oh, yep.
Yep.
Should we start taking bets on who's gonna win it? No, I'm joking.
That'd be crazy.
I'm not sure.
Joking. We don't bet here.
I know. I was going to say right after I said I'm praying for everyone's success.
Yeah, I know.
All right, man. Well, anyway, we're signing out.
All right.
Goodbye.
All right.
All right.